Good evening and welcome to Tuesday night on Autonomous Media. And we're kicking things off for you with what's it called, Jason? Raconteurs News, I believe, isn't it?
It is. It's called Raconteurs News, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. So we'd originally planned to have a guest on tonight, Diane Jessie Miller. But there's been some developments from Diane, and apparently she's got some big news that she's going to give us an exclusive, but she's not ready to share that at this time. So I think it's worth waiting for that, don't you, Jace?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a legal situation that's going on as well, which meant that we couldn't have had her on. Well, we could have had her on, but we wouldn't have been able to talk about her a picture with Rick Mayall one by one. So tonight she's cried off for a bit, but she's promised to come back with an exclusive, and I think that will be absolutely even better. So,
well, it was good to know that when you posted that up there as your favourite interview of last year's, within almost seconds, Diane had responded and said it was her favourite interview as well. So,
oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Yeah, but I really enjoyed talking to Diane. She's a great guest. I hope she's listening. If she's not. If she is, hello. If she's not, then, nothing. As what you'd do to talk to somebody who isn't there. But, I'm really looking forward to it. She was I think that was my favourite interview of our first year that me and you have been together.
Well, there were so many to choose from, weren't there? There was a hell of a selection, really, when you got names like John Rappaport, Max Egan, Rick Simpson, Andrew K. Fletcher. The list just Maria Heller. The list just goes on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah, and because I've got antiphospholipid syndrome. I'm in a group on Facebook, an APS group. Right. That's a closed group, so anybody who's not in the group cannot see anything, and it's completely private and it's really good. Okay. And I've been pushing inclined bed therapy. Not pushing. I've been promoting inclined bed therapy. I think it's the one thing that anybody can do that will change their lives. If you don't want to get into CBD oil or cannabis oil or that sort of thing because you're scared of the legal implications of it, there's nothing illegal about sticking a couple of bricks under the head of your bed, raising it 6 inch, and it will give you a huge boost.
And for anyone who's concerned about the fact that it is entirely free to do it, I know that puts a lot of people off. So if you are worried about that fact, just send us £1,000 cash in a brown envelope, and we'll send you a couple of bits of wood or some old books or bricks or oak we can find to prop your bed up with. We're quite happy to oblige people like that, aren't we, Jace?
Absolutely right. Yeah, we are. We're very accommodating here at Raconteurs News and Autonomous Media as well. A bit of a shame about Aidy's show last night.
Yeah, it was just a nightmare. Unfortunately, because we'd got the lineup we needed to update Aid's Skype, and as soon as he went up to update its Skype, it decided it wasn't going to play. So, thanks to good old Billy Boy Gates, we didn't have a show last night, but hopefully Aid will have that sorted out and plenty of time for next week. I'll certainly be available to help him, and I know there's plenty more that will be. So, yeah, we should have him back up and running. He's got. I know he's been speaking to someone about fracking, who's hopefully going to come on with him next week. One or two other interesting guests in the pipeline for him. So I think Aid's going to keep going from strength to strength. Just unfortunate we had that bit of a blip this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's happened to us many times, hasn't it, where we've had to cancel a show because we've had problems with Skype and things like that. So if you're listening, Aid, love you, brother, and I'll see you, well, very, very soon, I hope, and thanks for my counterbalance back as well, which is always good, because now my mic's on like a really big boom thing, and it's quite heavy. And I use another mic stand as a counterbalance, and I'd lent it to Aid, but he's giving it me back because he's bought his own. So if you're listening, Aid, thank you very much for that. And, we look forward to your next show. In fact, I was sat waiting for his show last night with bated breath, and I turned it on, and then I saw in the chat room that you put, Aid can't get in, and it can't be done. So a bit disappointed, obviously. because he's always good, Aid. So,
well,
look forward to next week.
I mean, people, everybody I spoke to about Aid's show has always said how passionate he is, and how they love the kind of stream of consciousness that comes from him. If you think he's passionate on the show, you should have heard him trying to fix his Skype last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great guy, Aid, and do you know, I'm going to take full credit for waking him up and turning him into this monster, because it's a monster that he wants to be, and you know, it has cost him a couple of personal relationships and things like that, but I don't think that he'd go back in any way, shape or form. Sorry. Excuse me.
Absolutely. I'd just like to say welcome to all the new faces in the chat room tonight. We've got a busy old chat room, and interestingly enough, we've got a return visit from a guest called Jesus. Does that mean that's the second coming? I don't know.
Actually, I think you're getting it wrong. I think he's Spanish, and it's actually Jesus.
Jesus. Ah, right. Yeah. That makes sense, yeah. We've got a bit of a Spanish contingent listening out there in the mountains in the north. But we've got Gaz joined us tonight. That's a mate of mine who I haven't seen for a while. He's listening in and bopping away to Tony's tunes in the kitchen. So welcome, Alan and Muddy. Good to have you listening. We've got Dave Iron in the chat. Dave's popped in occasionally from time to time. And we've got a guest, SKG from Worthing. So, I hope they'll be listening to us and sticking around at 10 o'clock for the happy hour, because, well, I'm not quite sure what they've got lined up tonight, but as far as I'm aware, the plan was that Freeman Jack was coming on as a guest, and, well, it quite tickled me when they told me what he was going to talk about. Apparently he's going to be talking about poop. So, for anybody who ever wants to level the accusation about Freeman Jack talking shit, you might just get it right tonight. But, no, there's some interesting information they've got to share tonight, and it's something we touched on a long while back with Sarah Goodley, so it's not information that's totally out of the blue for me. It's something I've heard about before, but looking forward to hearing Jack's take on it tonight.
Yeah, that should be interesting. It's always an interesting listening to the girls. Mm-hmm. I've only listened a couple of times when I'm at work, and it's sort of like being background music and noise, background noise. But I have been taking notice of it, and I'm really happy that they've not gone all right wing like a few of the people that have been knocking about in this truth movement for quite a number of years, who've suddenly turned all right wing.
Yeah, just a little bit more on that, Jason. What do you mean by turned a little bit right wing?
Well, for example, InfoWars have gone completely behind Trump, and they've gone all in with Trump. Really, if Trump fails, they're destroyed. InfoWars is done. I don't suppose it'll matter to Alex Jones, because he's already got his nest feathered in every which way that it possibly could be. Mm. But I've also noticed as well, I had a bit of an interaction on Facebook, on the Book of Faces today, with Daniel Bostock, who seems to have gone completely right wing, and I did make a comment that I don't know what triggered his right wing assertions, but I do think it's a little bit unpleasant. I don't, you know, we're at a point where he's at a point, should I say, not we're at a point, because I'm not, and nobody that I really associate with is, but he's at a point where he's blaming Muslims for everything, and I didn't really expect that of Daniel. No. And I know that Daniel did some really good work early doors, and he built his YouTube channel up, and I do remember he's got like 40,000 subscribers, and then suddenly to flip like that, I just cannot understand what's behind it. It's just gone. He's just gone from a peace-loving dude into he seems to have gone Trump major. Whether he's listening to InfoWars and being influenced by InfoWars, and that's what's caused it, I don't know. But it's something that's concerning, because I met Daniel, and he's a nice geezer. I met him outside Tom Crawford's court date in May of a couple of years ago.
Right, yeah.
I met up with him and I said, we said hello and chit-chatted, and he's a really decent enough kid. I say kid, I mean, I'm 46, I don't know how old he is, in mid-30s, but he's, it just seems to have gone all right-wing and everything, and I didn't see it coming, which is one thing that perturbs me, and secondly, I'm a little bit concerned about the influence that he's been able to build up prior to that, with his 40,000 subscribers, without doing any of that, without going all right-wing and doing things like that. He's built up 40,000 subscribers, and suddenly he's then turned. Now, to me, that raises a flag, it raises an alarm. I don't know what that alarm is, but it just raises an alarm inside me. And I'm just a little bit, if anybody wants to see, if you go on Daniel Bostock's Facebook account and you go on to, I think he'd put, everywhere that Muslims go, they've made it into a shithole.
Yeah.
And I just, all I did was I said, well, I lived in Dubai, and Dubai's not a shithole, and that's Islamic. And so that just scuppers your argument completely out of the water. And then he gets all defensive and spiteful and things like that, and it's just, to me, it's just unpleasant, it's unnecessary, and I really don't know what's behind it.
No, well, I've found that quite a disturbing trend lately. I mean, I do listen to as many other internet radio shows as I can to get the different perspective on it. But something I have noticed an alarming rise on is, in line with like Rents and InfoWars, so many people have jumped on this anti-immigrant thing, and the immigrants are being portrayed as evil incarnate, when in reality the situation, as we know, and anyone who cares to look deep enough into it will see, it's entirely engineered. It is that way because it's been designed to be that way. That agenda's been pushed very strongly since Tony Blair got into power, and I just see that everybody's blaming the wrong people. And once they can realise that these people who've been torn away from their homeland and moved thousands of miles across the planet and dumped in a strange land where they don't belong, they're victims in this just as much as anyone else who's affected by it. And just please stop blaming the wrong people and look who really is to blame. Look who's engineering this situation and making sure that it is so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we fall into a little trap, don't we? What we do is, what we're conditioned to do is we're conditioned to design. We're conditioned by design to place ourselves in the role of the victim. If you place yourself in the role of the victim, then you get all the sympathy and you get all the other stuff that's allocated with the role of the victim. Now, if you can express that and make the entire race that you belong to a victim, or it's really ridiculous, because Islam is not a race anyway. It's a religion. It's like Judaism. It's a religion, and I don't hate any Jews. I don't hate any Muslims. I hate these people that are bombing people. I hate these people that are allowing it to happen, but I don't hate the individual people. Now, that's a huge fundamental mistake, is to tar everyone with the same brush, and that seems to be what's happening at the moment, and it's difficult for me to get my head round, because it seems that with somebody like Daniel, who's got a huge following, it's like he's done all the good stuff to get that huge following, and then he's sort of done a 360 on them, and now become what the polar opposite of what he was before. And he's just, at the moment, all he's doing is just inciting hate. That's all it is. It's inciting hate. It doesn't matter who you hate. Hate's wrong, and he's inciting hate. And I just cannot understand why. In fact, I can see it playing out in front of me, but I just don't want to say it because it just makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist. It just seems that his agenda all along, and he's now got to a point where he thinks, well, there's enough people following me, I might as well show my true colours and what I really feel about things, and people are going to follow me anyway, because the psychology involved is that those people that have followed him then want to justify their following of him by agreeing with what he says.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I looked at Daniel's work earlier, and I mean, some of those comedy songs he put out were absolutely brilliant. What was it, Bailiff's Worst Nightmare and that sort of thing. Very dark, but really good as a comedy satire piece. I find it a little bit disturbing the way he's gone on his anti-Muslim rants. There's people that I know in our town who are on that same rant, and if they ever try and engage me with it, I'll tell them what I think. I'll tell them how I think they're being led by the nose, and they're giving forth opinions that don't belong to them. They're opinions that have been given to them by Murdoch, the mainstream press, whoever you want to call it, and
Alex Jones.
Yeah, of course. And people can start thinking for themselves and looking behind the stories that were actually told and finding a little bit about what really happens. Then I think the picture becomes a lot clearer.
Yeah, Freeman Jacks put a comment in the chat room. I can't type in the chat room. It won't let me post for some reason. Perhaps because I'm Jesus. But it won't let me post in the chat room. But Freeman Jacks put in the chat room, manufacturing false consensus, and then that's what I think what's happening. What you do is you get somebody who builds up a big following, and Alex Jones did it on a much larger scale and over a much longer time. But it's pretty much the same thing that Daniel Bostock's done. He's built up an audience. He's built up an audience using reason and logic and truth and things that are righteous. Daniel did some great videos. I've seen a few of them, a few of his videos, and I've seen where he's done the news and all that sort of thing. And I do think that he's charismatic and he's engageable. You engage with him. But I think what he's done is then he's for some reason, and then I don't know what this reason is, but he seems to have flipped that and then become the polar opposite to what he was promoting in the first place. So all the people that have been following him either think, "My God, I've been duped," but nobody wants to admit that they've been duped. So they continue following him.
Oh, yeah.
They attach themselves to his ideas, and they promote them, and that's how you get these groups that it just seems that Trump is something that the people that are on the right are attaching themselves to. People on the left are kicking up forget the people on the left. They're just like cultural Marxist people. The people who were marching in Sheffield today against Donald Trump. They were marching in Sheffield against Donald Trump. The cultural Marxists. All they are is they're doing what they're told. They have no idea why they don't like Donald Trump. No idea whatsoever. They've not seen any of his stuff or anything. They've got no idea why they don't like him. It's just that they don't want... It's organised so that... We seem to have got to this point, and where we've had pussies. We've had pussies that have been ruling over us, right? They've made us and they've tried to turn us into pussies.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've tried to turn us into pussies. You can't do anything. Health and safety at work. You know, I deliver stuff sometimes, and sometimes there's health and safety people, you know, who are so afraid of going against what they're supposed to do that they'll even refuse a delivery.
Yeah.
And it gets ridiculous. And I've got to the point at some times where I've actually said to him, you know, you're a pussy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just led me to that.
Yeah.
But we've got this culture at the moment, whereas everybody is jockeying for the position of victim.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been made like that because if we're all victims, the people that don't think they're victims, they're the victors. They're the ones that people listen to, and that's what we've had.
Yeah. Well, that brings me on the next thing that really I wanted to kind of move on to. We've been looking at the kind of how Trump's causing the division, that all kinds of seems to mesh in with Brexit. But I noticed there's been a bit of an undercurrent since probably November time, but it's been ramped up this last week, and that's Tony Blair has suddenly come out the limelight, and he's going to explain to people how, you know, democracy it really is flawed because we keep voting the wrong way, and we voted to come out of Europe because of ignorance and lack of information. Hang on, didn't he invade Iraq with that, and Afghanistan as well?
Yeah, don't get me started on Tony Blair. I mean, the man's a piece of shit. But again, this is how we measure how the cabal is doing, because they are a cabal, and people like Tony Blair are one of the cabal's minions, and so. But he was one of their most successful minions. That's what you've got to remember. He was Prime Minister of this country for 13 years, was it? Something like that. So he was one of their most successful minions. Mm-hmm. So in desperation, they're bringing him out again. You know, it's 20 years ago. 1997 when Tony Blair was first elected as Prime Minister.
Yeah.
You know, things can only get better. Things can only get better. Things can only get better. What a fucking lie that were. First of all, they got worse, didn't they?
Yeah.
They got they got better for a bit, and then they got worse. Mm-hmm. And just before they got worse, Tony Blair fucked off and left Gordon Brown to handle everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the sort of piece of shit we're talking about here with Tony Blair.
Well, I just somehow got a feeling last week that there was something going to happen with Tony Blair, because it was a bit of a prophetic moment. You remember when Tony did that extra show with Mark Salon on the Wednesday night? Mm-hmm. Came to the music break, and I think you'd actually called me. I was talking to you, and I could hear the music break playing in the other room, and lo and behold, it was D-Ream and Things Can Only Get Better, and I thought, Tony's playing that? Jesus, there must be something going on here that I don't know about.
Yeah, well, I mean, that combined, that song, Things Can Only Get Better, that combines two of the most influential toss bags that has ever walked this earth. First of all, Tony Blair, who stole it and used it as his record for the election, and Brian Cox, Professor Brian Cox, Mr. pseudo-scientific piece of shit dickhead who knows. Sorry, I've got to apologise to Tony. I've got to apologise to Tony. I know he don't like bad language on air, but
yeah.
Oh my God,
we're talking Brian Cox.
Have a day off.
Yeah.
Have a day off. Just don't listen. Why would you listen to Brian Cox? He don't even tell you all anyway.
Well, I had to laugh. I saw an interview with him a few years back when I was still watching that Idiot Box. And he was driving in some big 4x4 somewhere out in the wilds of America, the US. And somebody asked him the question about moon landings and being faked. And he basically said, well, you know, anybody who thinks that is a complete idiot, and I don't want them listening to my show. And I'm like, you arrogant prick. I mean, for anybody who believes that the Apollo moon landings were as described on the mainstream media, if you want a pretty good clue to the fact that it's not as described, I suggest you watch the interview with the 3 astronauts, what's it, Aldrin, Armstrong and Collins, on their return to Earth, allegedly. Now, for 3 men who'd achieved mankind's greatest landmark, they'd left the Earth, gone to the moon, set foot on the moon and returned safely to Earth. They were right bunch of miserable buggers, weren't they?
Well, yeah, you've just done something that nobody else in the entire planet has done.
What's that?
You know, you've just done that.
Oh,
you'd be coming back. You'd have a swagger, wouldn't you? You'd have some champagne. You'd be in that thing because they were in that isolation booth, weren't they? You'd be in that, but you'd have some champagne, you know, and some prostitutes and all that sort of thing. You'd be living it up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be sat there all fucking stony faced because you know the reason they were there like that is because they know they just pulled off the biggest deception in American history. In any history, really. I mean, come on. Oh, I've been to the moon. All right, have you? Have you? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
What were it like? Were it cold? Or were it warm? Because here's the thing. Did you know that in sunlight and in shade, it's obviously warmer in the sunlight than it is in the shade? Okay. So, the moonlight, when you measure the temperature in moonlight... So if it's a huge moonlight night, the temperature's actually warmer in the shade than it is in the moonlight.
Yes, that's something I've looked at recently, and it's quite an alarming discovery when you realise that. And I've checked it out, and that does seem to be perfectly right. So that means, therefore, that, you know, that we're told that the light we see coming from the moon is purely reflected sunlight. Well, surely, if you've got this big hot thing in the sky, and it's sending this warm light, electromagnetic energy of some description down towards you, and it's particularly warm, you put it in a mirror, it doesn't suddenly reverse it and it becomes cold, does it? So... that says to me there's something a bit stranger going on with the moon than what we're actually told.
Yeah. Yeah, and the moon landings anyway, it's just ridiculous. The Van Allen belt is... you can't get through the Van Allen belt, especially not with a ship that's... a vessel that's essentially made out of tinfoil. That's all it was tinfoil. You know what happens when you put tinfoil in a microwave? That's radiation.
Yeah.
It's you know, it had just been a bloodbath. It had just been nuts. But what people have got is this this faith inbuilt in them from birth as well. It's from birth. I mean, a dear friend of mine's just become a grandmother, and I look at pictures of a child of a granddaughter, and I think to myself, she's going to be she's so perfect as she is now, and she's going to be so fucking ruined by this system that we've built for ourselves.
Yeah.
That it really actually breaks my heart, and it's it just seems that we're on this self-destruct pattern, and it don't really matter who we take along with us as well. I mean, we'll take all animals with us, shall we? Shall we take all animals? We'll get rid of all them old whales. Fuck them. We don't need whales. They're right fat and stupid and don't do well. Apart from lay on beaches and, you know, get beached or by... Fuck whale. What do we need whales for? And sharks as well. Imagine you'd be able to go and see at any point without the fear of being, you know, bitten by a shark. These are the things that we like focus on. You know, and yet... Well, we're just killing ourselves by killing everything around us.
I'd have difficulty counting the number of hours that I've spent swimming in the sea in my lifetime. And do you know what? I haven't once even been slightly apprehensive about being bitten by a shark.
Yeah, that's right. But you're not very good at counting, so that's probably not very many hours.
Yeah, probably half an hour, but not very good at counting.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's just stupid, isn't it? Yeah. Susie's put in the chat room that she's not sure the sun is hot anyway.
Yeah, who is the guy who's done a lot of work on that? Eric Dollard. I've watched some of Eric Dollard's stuff, and
Eric Dollard. Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. He's done a lot of work on electromagnetism, the sun, the moon, the planets, all that kind of thing. But he keeps getting himself set up with a workshop, and then he gets everything took off him and gets shut down, and he seems to be working out of his car on a regular basis. So I hope Eric's getting things in order and able to put things in a way that's easier for other people to follow and understand his work. But yeah, there was somewhere else I was going with that. On the subject of space again, I did see we'd got an article this week in the UK Independent that in a couple of days' time, NASA have got an incredibly important announcement to make about the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe, I believe. Have you seen that one?
Well, if I thought that NASA knew anything about space at all, then I might give it some credence, but I just don't think they do. I really don't think they do. I don't think they've got anything anywhere near to being in space. I mean, the International Space Station is a joke. I've seen you've seen it. You've seen the video where Tim Peake, the British astronaut, so-called, was on the space station, and then you see George H.W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, the George Senior, was being shown around the NASA Space Center, and you can see on a big screen behind you, and you can see that it's the green screen in Tim Peake. Yeah. You can see it. It's just ridiculous.
I've seen quite a few others where they're supposedly doing spacewalks, and you can see the bubbles rising to the top of the tank that they're in.
It's just daft, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just daft. But like I've always said, you know what I'm going to say now, don't you? We're kept in a childlike state, so that we believe things, right? When you're a child, you're told Father Christmas won't come if you're bad. You know he fucking will. Yeah. Now, you do, don't you? You do now, don't you? You think, God, I wish I'd never listened to my parents, and I had, spread shit all over walls, because I was going to do that, and I thought that would be a good idea to do. But I didn't do it because Father Christmas were going to come. Wouldn't come if I did that. And so you think I didn't do it. Yeah. We're kept in a childlike state. We're still in that state where, when you're a grown up, you have to just believe what people are telling you, and they produce. I think it's $19.8 billion a year is the NASA budget, and for that money, we get a few photographs, and videos, which are CGI'd.
Well, I had to laugh at that conversation we were having. I think it was last week, where we were talking to somebody who really is not interested in UFOs and actually gets quite bored with the subject. And he was saying, I don't believe in UFOs. And then Tony said, you what? You don't believe in UFOs? Well, a UFO is simply an unidentified flying object, and there's plenty of them flying about all day, every day. Just because it's a UFO doesn't mean it's alien. And Tony, who I know he looks at this subject quite a bit. We've had some interesting discussions on the subject, but he said, if you want to, you know, what are these unidentified things? If you want to kind of delve into the mystery, look at some of the raw footage filmed of the sun. These particular, I can't remember what they call the telescopes that film it, but there's objects the size of large planets getting very close to the sun and sucking huge amounts of plasma energy off there. Now, if you think that's maybe the British Army or the American Army or maybe even, I don't know, the Leprechaun Army from Ireland or somewhere like that, then fair enough. But I'm not aware of any man-made technology that can get anywhere near as close to the sun as that, and particularly if it's as hot as we're told it is. So you've got to start asking a question. Those objects are there. They've been filmed. It's from what I understand with Tony, if they're raw video files, that means that you can tell if they're manipulated if you know what you're doing. And if they're not manipulated, then something's going on out there, and we ought to be kind of thinking, well, we need to know what that is.
Yeah. As you know, Andy, at the moment I'm writing a book, and I'm going to give my take on it.
I'm really looking forward to that, mate.
I'm going to give my take on it. I believe I know the answers to it, and it's all going to be in this book anyway. So, So now people know I'm writing a book. So I it's going to have to be published, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you put it out there now, mate. Yeah. So yeah, we'll. I mean, you getting fairly close to having it finished now?
No. God, blimey, fucking hell, I'm about 60,000 words off it being finished.
Oh, right.
So I'm only about 30,000 words in, so
right.
Give it a couple of months. But I keep having... I've spoke to you before about it, and I keep having...
interference.
It does affect me.
Yeah.
When I'm writing about it, so I have to limit that. But no, I'm about 30,000 words in, I've got about 60 to go, so...
No, excellent. Well, yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people over the years who've had various different kinds of experiences, and I've noticed with quite a few people, when they start talking about the actual occurrences and giving detail, it does seem to take a great deal of mental stress on people. It seems to have quite an adverse effect relating those experiences, which some people seem to be incredibly traumatic. Some people, they seem to be really beneficial experiences, like Travis Walton related. I know for many years Travis believed that he was injured accidentally and he really didn't understand it, but then he came to the understanding that whoever it was in that craft that hit him with a beam of light may have done so accidentally, and they decided, well, we've damaged him, we've got to fix him. And
that was very interesting, and I was really, really interested in that. Particularly, it did sort of ring a lot of bells with myself. Susie's just put a comment in the chat room. It says, ask the beneficent guides and beings around you to keep the malevolent ones off your back, Jason. And do you know what? I've just actually today written about that exactly. It's incredible. I've just today, while I've been sat here, I've written a part of that. So,
well,
yeah, thank you for that, Susie. Very intuitive.
You sent me a little extract of what you'd written. Wasn't that in that? I mean, it was at 90 degrees, so I got a bit of a stiff neck reading it. But that was what you sent me, wasn't it?
Yeah, I always sent you a paragraph. I just thought I'd just tease him a bit, and so because I was sat here and I thought to myself, where do I go now? I've got to an end to a point, and I think, where do I go now? And I'm trying to think whether I go chronologically or whether I put things in the more interesting space. You know, the more interesting first, and then perhaps a less it. But it's. I just thought I'd send you a little bit of a teaser, and it's going all right. I'm doing okay. Today's been a good day. I've been able to sit here all day, and it's not really affected me in the way that it did do on the first couple of occasions when I sat down to start writing about this.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, something I'd like to bring up as well. It's a new development this week. We have talked about how, as things are starting to grow, we kind of we're looking for new people, people who've got ideas, people who've got stuff they want to say. But it's not just people we're looking for to be part of the team who actually want to be on air, although, yes, they are a very important part of it. But if anyone's got any skills they could contribute, either research or kind of backroom skills, technical skills, maybe writing, maybe even doing some artwork they'd like to put up on the website. You never know, maybe even some poetry. I know we've got a few people who listen who write poetry. And so we've got a research group on Skype. So if anyone would like to be added to that research group, if you email me or Jason, Andy at raconteursnews.com or Jason at raconteursnews.com, we can add you to that group, and we'll find something that you can do that fits in with your skill set and hopefully contributes to the progress of autonomous media.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got some people that work out. Like you say, if there's people that don't want to perhaps go on air, don't feel confident enough to talk, but could write a piece, write a blog, something like that, we can stick it on Raconteurs News and Autonomous Media. You know, it all adds up. Good pieces bring people to the website, and they may listen to the show. You know, it just. Anything that anybody can do. If you've got a skill, if you've got something that you can do, then please just get in touch with us. Like Andy said, Andy at raconteursnews.com or Jason at raconteursnews.com. You can follow me as well on Twitter at Beckham Coverup, which is another story, but you know we won't go into that. But yeah, at Beckham Coverup, I'm on Twitter. So we like to have all sorts of. Autonomous media doesn't just mean radio. We can have all sorts of different media on here. If you can write a blog and you can write a good blog and you want to remain anonymous, that is absolutely fine. Yeah. We don't suppress anybody, do we?
No.
Unless somebody's being really vitriolic, we don't suppress anybody. And then perhaps if someone were being vitriolic, we'd perhaps try and calm them down before. You know, dispatching of their services, but yeah, anybody who can do anything in media, even if it's you're good at making GIFs or you're good at editing sound, then just drop us a line and we'll get you involved. It really is so rewarding because you're actually doing something. You're not sat there downstairs in your zombie trance watching some TV program, whether it be football or whether it be some crap TV program. When you're doing something, you really feel like you're contributing, and whether our cause fails or wins, it doesn't matter. The fact is that we tried.
No, that's it. And something that kind of bothers me a little bit about what we do. Not bothered. It niggles me a little bit. But sometimes I'll be talking to people and it's kind of, Raconteurs News, Autonomous Media. Oh, that's you and Jason, isn't it? I'm like, no, it's not really. Oh, yeah, but you and Jason are the No. It's about everybody. And everybody who contributes is a part of it. And there is no owners, no boss, no nothing. We're all a part of it. We all kind of chip in what we can contribute, and it seems to be working pretty well so far. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, and we've got we've also had the luxury of getting a lot of good hosts on board. There's some great shows apart from, other than ours. And not saying ours is a great show, I don't want to go on Richie Allen and go, I'm not saying that mine is a great show and I'm great. But I just want to, there are other good hosts with good shows. We've got Aid, we've got Freeman Jack, who's just popped in the chat room and said that anybody can contact him as well if they feel they can help him with his show or do anything. So that's Jack at freemanjack.net. So he's got his own website. Well, look at us. We've got Keno who says he can shove a crayon up his nose. Nice one, Keno. Well done for that. Good luck finding your nose, being from Newcastle and all that, but if you know where it is, then you know where it is. Yeah, so it's all good. This is something that's not got egos involved. Nobody's got an ego, really. Everybody does their. Did I say really? Because that makes it sound like that I think somebody has got an ego, but I really don't. We don't have egos. Nobody has an ego. There's nobody who's trying to be number one top dog or the dog's bollocks. It's just simply we're all pulling together and we're all doing our own thing as well, and we support each other, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, Jack's just put in a comment, autonomy starts with participation. I think that's absolutely bang on. And what you're saying about nobody's trying to be standout, nobody's trying to be the king of the heap, whatever. Mithrin put it so well when he was talking about trolls. They stick out like tits on a fish, and basically anybody who's trying to do that round here would be the same. It would stick out and be so obvious, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, we would not tolerate that. I mean, we've been going a year now, haven't we? Oh, just over a year. I think wasn't January our first Raconteurs news? I think it came up on my Book of Faces memories.
Yeah, it was the first one we did in the new year, but I think the Raconteurs news name actually started Christmas week that year, because I did a couple of shows because you were poorly, weren't you?
I wasn't very well, were I? So. Yeah.
How things change in a year, eh?
Absolutely, and that's inclined bed therapy, it's CBD oil, it's all the people that have been on this radio show that have told me things that have changed my life, and long may it continue. Long may it continue. I know this seems a bit like a knob sucking contest that we're having at the moment, but when you have to, at some point, you have to celebrate what you've achieved, and I think we've achieved a lot.
Oh well, yeah, I think we've gone from strength to strength in that first year. I mean, last time I look at the stats of the Raconteurs news website, I think we'd had something like 36 million hits, and just over a year. That to me is just astonishing, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Tony for your part in that, because without you, Tony, we wouldn't have that website up there. And since then, he's created the autonomous media. Other hosts have got their own site, which Tony's helped with. Doing a fantastic job, Tony, and just awesome, mate.
Yeah, he's like a robot, Tony, isn't he? He just works and 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 works. And I know that sometimes his social life, his personal life suffers from it, but he's just so determined, and what a guy to have on board. I mean, we just couldn't have anybody any better to be our webmaster and to be, really he's the god of all this, isn't he? He's brought us all together and put us under this platform. If it wasn't for Tony, autonomous media wouldn't exist. Well,
I had to laugh when you said he works like a robot. I was just thinking of Marvin, the paranoid android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I could just hear that voice coming out of Tony, brain the size of a planet, and all they want to do is build poxy websites.
Yeah. Brilliant, Tony, yeah. But we've had what would your favourite be from the shows that we've done so far in the first year?
I really struggle to pick one favourite. There's so many in there. I mean, for me, Barry Trower was somebody always wanted to talk to, and that was pretty special. David Halpin, I think, was very special. Eva Bartlett. Rob Halford, I really enjoyed that one.
Yep, Rob's a good guy.
I always enjoy talking to Chuck. Looking forward to having a chat with him again soon. It's a shame he's on so flipping late at night, but...
Well, we've had some big names as well, haven't we? I mean, in the alternative media, we've had some big names. We've had Max Egan's been on. Mm-hmm. Who else? God, big names. Andrew Johnson, Judy Ward.
Yeah.
These were all great. That was a great show. Andrew Johnson and Judy Ward. I mean, I thought the chemistry between us all really worked. If anybody wants to go back and listen to that one, it's Andrew. I don't know what number it is, but it's Andrew Johnson and Judy Ward here on Raconteurs News, and we really did have a great discussion. Judy Wood, obviously, who wrote the book Where Did the Towers Go, which gave an argument. In fact, it didn't give an argument. In fact, it gave evidence of a directed energy weapon which disintegrated the Twin Towers on 9/11 rather than a collapse or explosions in the building. Because, again, I think probably explosions in the building would be really tricky to do in the first place and really tricky to conceal from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you've got people going into work on Monday, if as people say, because it powered down, didn't it, on, I think on the Sunday before 9/11, the Twin Towers suffered had a power cut, due to some work that was being done in it. So all the power was cut, and some work was done in there, and that's where people presuppose that, the demolition explosives were planted at that time, but what they don't understand is that it's very, very difficult to hide demolition explosives. There's lots of wires that have to go about everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a really difficult job, and because you only want people to know what's really happening, you don't want people to. You're not going to get any ethical demolition contractors to put in the explosives and conceal them as well, so that on the Monday when people go into work nobody sees anything, and then on the Tuesday you know, people go into work and don't see anything, and then suddenly it all blows up. I don't think that is so. I think the directed energy weapon hypothesis, which is what I consider it, I know Dr. Judy Wood would consider it proven, but I think that it needs to be examined.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking back through the guests that we've had on, and it's an incredible list. You know, Oli Damagard, Edward T. Haslam, the Doctor.
Oli Damagard, is that the guy that I put right?
Yes, and he thanked you very much for correcting him. Yes, that's right. We had to have a music break while he checked out your information.
Yeah. You see, even our guests that come on and are telling us things, even they learn things by coming on Raconteurs News.
Yeah, Diane Jessie Miller was a pretty special one. I'm just looking through as well. Rick Simpson's show is always good. I tell you what, I'll probably get slated for saying this, but in a lot of ways, it maybe wasn't one of the best shows, but I think one of the shows that showed Jason at his absolute best was the John Irwin one.
Yes, yeah. Well, I met somebody. I work Thursday and Friday, and I go to this place in Brighouse, and I met this bloke, and he recognised my voice. Believe it or not.
Wow.
And he said, "You sound like." He said, "This probably won't mean anything to you, but he says you sound like Jason off Raconteurs News." And I said, that's because I am Jason off Raconteurs News. And he went, fucking hell. Oh, God. And he says, I've only just found your show. And he says, I listen all the time. And he starts going on, and he starts asking me. I couldn't get away for about 45 minutes because he's just asking me about all these people, about these people that I've interviewed and all this sort of thing. Anyway, he said to me, give me a show that to just go and listen to, because I've not heard anywhere near all of them.
Yeah.
So I said John Irwin. Now, funnily enough, I went back the following day, and he said to me, he says, oh my God, I listened to that John Irwin show. Oh my God. He says, what the fucking hell was there? And I said, listen, I don't know, but I thought that would probably be the most entertaining. And then he said to me, I listened to the show that you were on with your mate who you woke up.
Yeah. Aid.
So Aid's first show. He says, I heard that. He says, oh my God, he's good, isn't he? It's like right enthusiastic. So that's just one person. I know it's not going to happen everywhere, but it's just one person, and I know that we've changed his life. Because I said to him, I said, look, what the problem is with this is that when people first wake up, it absolutely fucks them up. And they can go one or two ways. They can either fuck off back, or they can continue and bear through it.
Well, essentially the red pill or the blue pill, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And he said, it took me about a year. So he's been at this for at least a year. So it took me about a year, and then he said, I almost lost everything because I was just so obsessed.
Yeah.
He said, but then I backed myself up a bit, and I came off for a while. And I said, that's the key. That is the key. You keep off for a while. You get yourself away. But to be, just to be confronted by somebody who says that I sound like me.
Yeah, I mean,
that was just unreal.
Yeah, I know it's kind of freaked me out a bit when we've been to meetings at the NAV and somebody's recognised me and oh, Andy, how you doing? And I've no idea who it is, but as somebody who's been very anonymous all my life, it's quite strange. I mean, I suppose you must have been a bit used to it, being a club DJ for all them years, a bit of adoration and adulation, but it's something you don't tend to get as a truck driver.
No, and you know what? You don't want it anywhere. No. It's nice. It's nice when it's nice that somebody's recognised you for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're doing something. And what you're doing is supposed to have the effect on everyone who hears it that it's had on that person.
Yeah.
And you know you've got through to one person. In fact, you might not have got through to one person. He might have already known all this, but he's now attached himself to us. You know what I mean? So he knows what he's talking about, and he knows that we know what we're talking about. Yeah. And it's just absolutely. I couldn't get away from him for 45 minutes. Honestly, I'm thinking to myself, oh, for fuck's sake, I've got fucking shitloads to do, and he just won't even let me go.
Oh well, you just be wary. He might be listening tonight, Jason. So you don't want to say too much.
No, he's fine. He knows what I mean.
Yeah,
he exactly knows what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had some fabulous guests over this first year, and I've just noticed we're approaching the top of the hour.
Top of the hour.
Yeah, so I suppose we ought to put a track on. Here you go, Jason. Give us your choice. I want to know whether you fancy something from Gil Scott-Heron or The Jam.
I'd like something from S Club 7.
I'd have to find something. I'll get you an S Club 7 tune lined up very soon, Jason.
Okay, give me the jam then.
Okay, let's just get rid of that one then. Here we go. And there's an interesting line in this track, which I'd heard thousands of times before, but it never struck me as being quite significant until I got a Jam box gift set at Christmas. So here's the Jam and In the City, and we'll be back shortly.
My name is Michael Obanisia, and I'm the producer-director of The Great British Mortgage Swindle, and you're listening to autonomousmedia.net.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News. It's Tuesday evening, where there is no guest tonight. It's just Jason and I having a little bit of a discussion about what's been happening in the last year with Raconteurs News and what we're seeing happening lately in the news. So welcome back, Jason.
Hi, Andy. Did you have a good shit?
I enjoyed it, mate. I enjoyed it.
Sorry, I'm sorry, listeners, for being so gross. That is just so disgusting and so terrible. But I'm not really sorry. But yeah, sorry.
Well, that Gil Scott-Heron track, I've been itching to play that for weeks. I haven't found the time to fit it in. And you looked like you was out of the room when the Jam track finished, so I thought, I'm going to bang that in there, because thanks, Jack, thanks, Tony, for getting me listening to Gil Scott-Heron. Really loving that stuff.
Yeah, great track. I enjoyed that as well. I just caught the last bit of it as I came back upstairs. But, yeah, great track.
So we covered a little bit about immigration, Trump, Tony Blair. Something we haven't covered so far is something which it seems to be getting a little bit of coverage, but it's almost like all these stupid stories in the mainstream media, like there's a protest in Sheffield against President Trump. I mean, come on. People in Sheffield, you know, do they really care about what happens in Rotherham? Now, never mind what Trump does in America. But
no, but it was just a token protest. I think what it were, it were organised by some probably leftist, feminist thing. You know, these groups.
Yeah.
And it just gets coverage by the mainstream media because it's a divide issue. So
yeah, well, the one that's kind of it seems to be being obscured by these silly stories is the fact that there's an awful lot of sabre rattling from the US, particularly with regards to the South China Seas. Now they're massing troops on the Russian border. I mean, let's face it. The way things are looking, yes, America is the world's policeman, or they seem to think they are, but they're rapidly losing that status. And I think if they start poking that Russian bear with a big stick, they're going to come off quite badly, you know. It's going to look after the honeypot quite well and repel any invaders. And, you know, Russia and China together, it's just a phenomenal force, and I think it's a very dangerous game they're playing. Whether there's any real intention of starting anything, I don't know. Are they really that psychopathic? Probably. What do you reckon?
Well, I think you know what I reckon. I reckon it's just all the big stage show to keep us all occupied. I think, yeah, you're right. If Russia, if America felt, if Russia felt threatened by America, you see, Russia's, as it's playing out, as we're supposed to view it, is that Russia is stood there. He's the guy that's defending himself. The other guy is America, and he's coming up and he's looking him in the eyes. Right? You know, they're squaring off.
Yeah.
But it's not Russia Russia's just defending its own land. Whereas America's right in its face. America's got bases everywhere.
Yeah.
Russia's got one base.
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to build another one in China as well, which, might be a little bit of a wake-up call for America. If Russia builds a base and has a base in China, that makes them allies. And don't forget, Russia and China traditionally have been enemies, complete enemies. If you watch a film called I think it's called the Russian Cosmonaut Conspiracy. And what happened is the first person in space wasn't Yuri Gagarin, it was Vladimir Ilyushin.
Yes.
And Vladimir Ilyushin, you'll know the word Ilyushin because Ilyushin is they make planes.
Yeah.
Right. So Vladimir Ilyushin was the first man in space, but the mission was a complete failure. Mm-hmm. And if you look at at the time, Russia and China were mortal enemies. And what happened was Ilyushin, his craft fell and crashed in China, and then he was trapped in a Chinese hospital for his injuries. And then they had to put out this story that Vladimir Ilyushin, this Russian bloke, had been driving his car in China, the mortal enemy that don't even allow fucking Russians in, and then they, recuperated him and everything, and it just don't make any sense.
Well, that's a bit like saying Gary Powers was on his holiday in Yosemite National Park and he got lost when he crashed in Russia or wherever it was, when he was shot down in his U-2.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
No, you've heard about Gary Powers getting shot down?
I know Gary Powers, he was in a U-2 spy plane, weren't he? And he got shot down over Russia. In fact, he got shot down over Moscow, didn't he? Didn't he land in Red Square? Doesn't that just say something to you?
No, I think
he actually lands in Red Square.
I think that was somebody else, wasn't
it? Yeah, but again, if someone's landing in Red Square, it's orchestrated. They're not landing in Red Square by accident.
Yeah.
How big is Russia? And they land in Red Square. Krasny Blushit, which is what is Russian for Red Square.
Russia's really big. It's bigger than Yorkshire, isn't it?
Nah, it's not bigger than Yorkshire now. It's big, but it's not bigger than Yorkshire.
Hey, I tell you what, I'd always love a challenge, and I see we've actually got a challenge in the chat room for you, Jason. When you mentioned your book there, Tony reckons you're a big tease. He said he's got his credit card waiting. He said he wants a sample on air now, and he's up for 20 quid. How are you fixed, mate?
Well, just send in that picture I sent you earlier. You can have 20 quid for that. That'll be 20 quid's worth.
Right, I'll send him that after the show then. And also we've got Mithrin's chimed in, because Mithrin, I was saying about the top shows we've had, Mithrin's been going through and picking out some, and picking out the best bits so we can do some little Vox Pops edits. And he's come up with 3 there. He's come up with Dr. Sarah Myhill, and Dr. Sarah was a good one. Guy Taylor.
She was good, yeah.
Quite a few appearances from Guy over the last year. And, one of my favourites there, Michael Obanisia. I mean, that, for me, was a top show. I've been wanting to talk to Michael since before I even started doing radio. I just admire the guy, his passion and his depth of knowledge, particularly about ancient English or ancient British history. I could just listen to Michael all day. And hopefully, if we get him back on soon, I'd like to get him to talk about ancient English history. I know he's very busy with the Great British Mortgage Swindle at the minute, and I'm sure we can cover that a bit, but I'd like to get some of that because there's some fascinating information in there.
Yeah, absolutely. As well, I contacted today, when, because Diane Jessie Miller postponed on us for only 6 weeks. She's going to be back in 6 weeks. She's going to have a world exclusive here on Raconteurs News on autonomousmedia.net. So she'll be back in 6 weeks. So it's only a postponement. But I contacted Max Stoutley, and just to see if he were available to talk about, because I know he's a bit of a flat Earth buff.
Oh, I didn't realise Max was into that.
Oh, did you not? No, did you not hear him when we were at Nottingham?
Yes, he did. He said something about. Yes, he said something about shape, didn't he? Yeah. Yes, I've forgotten about.
And so, anyway, I invited him on, and he said he'd got a prior engagement, but he would love to come on in future and talk about the flat Earth, and it's something that I'd like to cover. Mm-hmm. Just simply because, well, I think we should cover everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've had people trying to push us to do flat Earth shows in the past. I've resisted it, but if you think it's time, Jason, I'm happy to go along with that, and we'll get him on and see what he's got to say. I mean, there's plenty of people out there talking about the flat Earth with quite a bit of authority. Might be an idea to, after we've had Max back on, to get Max Egan back on, because he seems to roundly debunk the flat Earth and doesn't have a lot of time for flat earthers at all. But then
and yet he was the guy that was on the plane, and he got a compass that saying they were going one way when the flight information screen was saying that they were going another way, and so that makes me suspicious. Not of Max Egan, just suspicious. That's all.
Yeah.
Of what his intents are. But no, I think it's something that deserves to be. I think we should talk about it at least. Let's talk about it. I'm not on board. I'm not a flat earther. I don't really care. The more important thing is who's controlling us, rather than what shape we are.
That's it. Yeah, for me too.
But I think it's interesting, and I think it will develop as an audience.
I see we've got a question there for you from Tony in the chat room, and he wants to know, was you a hospital radio DJ, Jason, like Keno?
Nope, never. I always got paid whenever I played records.
Oh yeah, on the subject of getting paid, Mithrin reckons we're on working a bit of a flanker tonight, so he reckons we're splitting the guest's fee between us.
Well, £2.50 each is not to be sniffed at.
Bloody hell. That much?
Yeah, that much.
So we've only got 40 minutes left till Tam and Tina turn up with the happy hour. So what are we going to cover in the last 40 minutes then, Jason?
Well, let's have a look what's in news.
Mm-hmm. I did see a rather amusing story about some guy in America who's he's got multiple wives. Oh damn, the story's gone now. But he got his wives to see if I can find the story again. No, it's gone. It was about this guy who got his wives to pose as ninjas and murder somebody, which was quite a bizarre story. I thought. I believe it was somebody he'd assaulted years ago, and he got 3 wives, and he got them all to dress up in black and go around and kill the whole family in this home. It was quite a strange story.
It does sound rather strange. Can I just move on to a different story?
Yeah, please.
This was something that Heath sent me.
Yeah.
And this is quite disturbing, if I'm honest. It's a Sky News story, and it's the pie-eating goalkeeper Wayne Shaw forced to quit Sutton United. Now, what happened was Sutton United, who were a non-league team, had drawn Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Okay.
Now, their reserve goalkeeper had to be, because of Sutton United's, they can't afford to pay anybody or buy any, get anybody. It's the you know, they're a non-league team.
Yeah.
So their reserve goalkeeper is one of the coaches who's a great big fat lad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last night, when Sutton United were playing Arsenal, he was pictured in the dugout eating a pie. Right? So he's a big fat lad, he's eating a pie, and now he's been forced to resign.
For eating
it's
a pie.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Oh dear, yeah.
Okay, let me just read this. Wayne Shaw has agreed to leave Sutton United after investigations were opened into his pie eating during the club's game against Arsenal. Right? He's pie eating. He's ate a fucking pie. Fuck me. Here we go. The 20-stone reserve goalkeeper, known by fans as roly-poly goalie, because of his weight and his mid-match snacks, knew Sun Bets were offering 8-1 odds on him eating a pastry while he did so on camera. So the Sun, before the game, knowing his reputation, have decided to offer odds of 8-1 that he'll eat a pie while he's sat on fucking...
It's a joke, isn't it?
That has prompted the Gambling Commission and the Football Association to look into whether he breached betting rules. This is ridiculous. It's a bloke eating a pie. Amid a storm of criticism of the club, Sutton United manager Paul Dowsell told Sky News he had no option but to ask Shaw, 46 and 20 fucking stone, to stand aside. Dowell said it has been very disappointing. There is no doubt about that. I woke up this morning to this storm of criticism. A bloke's eating a pie. And you know what? You know what? If he's done it to rip off a few gambling organisations, then good luck to him.
Yeah.
You know, but this bloke's been fucking... he's been sacked. He's been sacked from something he don't even get paid to do. It's ridiculous.
Absolute madness. I mean, doesn't that kind of make a joke out of the whole football thing, really?
Oh yeah, football's ridiculous. It's a complete joke.
Yeah.
It's a complete joke. I mean, you get interviews with people after games and what have you, and they might as well not say out. They just might as well just say, you know, stock standard reply. After, you know, like a criminal goes no comment.
Mm.
A professional footballer just should go stock standard reply. It'd be like the equivalent of no comment, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, from what my memory of seeing footballers interviewed after games, it'd probably make a lot more sense if they just said no comment. Because most footballers are not the most cerebral of individuals, are they?
No. Well, they're not, are they? They're just idiots, aren't they?
Notice how I said most, not all.
No, not all, no.
Because that's you know, going back to Daniel's thing about all places where Muslims inhabit turned into a shithole. That is unfortunately, like every generalisation, by its very nature of being a generalisation, it's wrong. Because it's like saying all bald people are stupid. All people with blue eyes are left-handed. All people with blonde hair can't tie their shoelaces. They're just patently ridiculous statements, but if it's printed in the Daily Mail, people will believe it.
And that's a sad factor in it, though. Mm. Is that people will believe that, and people like, and really the people like Daniel Bostock, who have got a lot of people that follow him, and he's got a lot of minions. I mean, I got a lot of Hasselhoff people that were, you know, I did get some support as well, but I got a lot of Hasselhoff people from different people. So he's got his minions. Once once you've got that sort of support where you've got 40,000 subscribers that'll, read just about whatever you put in and at least see it, then you've got responsibility. And if you've got that responsibility, you need to really, he's just gone nuts. He's just gone all Trump.
Yeah.
And while I applauded Trump's Trump being voted in, it weren't like I thought that it was going to be I didn't think he was going to be a messiah. I just thought that if we had Hillary, then we're all dead.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump's certainly not the new messiah.
Of course he's not.
More like a very naughty boy to me.
But what all the yeah, okay. Should we let that go in?
Yeah, a bit of a Monty Python reference there for anybody who didn't pick it up.
It's look, I applauded Trump's presidency simply because it wasn't Hillary. Now, that doesn't mean that I support Trump. It just means that Hillary would have been a billion times worse for us, for everybody.
Yeah.
This planet would have been fucked by now if Hillary had got in.
It certainly would have been a different ball game to what we've got now, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I was...
But people can't see that. People see that you're either one or you're the other.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're sort of middle ground, I'm not Trump, I'm not Clinton.
Well, that's like... I've talked about some mates of mine who try and talk to when I used to go to the pub. And... they'll be talking about one side of the political spectrum or the other, and the Tories never did the working man any good. And I was, well, hang on, you've lived long enough to live through quite a few Labour governments, and which one do you remember actually getting better off under? And they're stumped for an answer, but they still can't see how they're being taken in by this false paradigm.
Yeah, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. We're taken in by this paradigm because we're stopped from growing up at the adolescent phase. You get to the adolescent phase, and that's it. There's no further growing. There's no further growth mentally. I mean, I'm not talking about physically. Of course, physically you do grow when you grow older and things, but mentally, if you're stunted at a certain age, and if you can't see that, you can't get out of it. You know what I mean? You can't. If you don't know you're in prison, how are you going to get escape? And it's the same thing. We're brought to this age, 18, 19 years old. Look at how we're advertised to. We're advertised by cartoons, by silly voices, by meerkats, but it works. Right? So they're going to continue doing it because it works. And the reason why it works is because we don't grow up and we don't go, actually, do I really want a fucking meerkat telling me how much my car insurance is going to be? No. You see, we don't grow up.
No.
We're always kept in a state of emotion. All the TV programs, all the radio programs. Just listen to Nicky Campbell on 5 Live, and he will say, "Oh, we had such a powerful interview. It might have been dog shit. It might have been all lies, but it was right powerful." That don't. To me, that don't make any sense. Why would I care whether it were emotional or it were powerful? I want to know if it's fucking true. Then I'll listen to it. But that's not where we're guided to. We're guided to somewhere where our emotions can be manipulated so that what we do is then we don't go, actually, that sounds like shit. What we're doing is we're being guided by our emotions. And when you're in an emotional state, you can't think.
No.
Intellectually. You can't. It's impossible. When you're in an emotional state, you can't think intellectually. It don't matter what fucking emotion it is, whether it's love, joy, fucking this, that, fucking fear, hate, whatever. It don't fucking matter. When you're in that state, you can't think intellectually.
No.
What you're doing, you're thinking using that emotion. And that's how they fucking get us.
Yeah, yeah.
And everything's emotion. Oh, it was a very powerful interview. Nicky Campbell, do you know what? Every fucking day, I have to think of an excuse to not go and find him and fucking smash his face in. Because he is just...
He is infuriating, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, God, it's just like, all you're doing is you're winding people up.
Yeah.
To a point where they're starting to cry at something that's nothing to do with them. You know, they're watching TV, and they're watching... It does that family reunion thing, right?
Oh, right.
And you're watching TV, and it's nothing to do with you, and you're fucking crying at it.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's perceived fucking... It's like you perceive it as something to do with you, and it hasn't. And because the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, and all the language that you're using is designed to draw you in so that you perceive that it's relevant to you. And it's not. It's not relevant to you. It's not relevant. You know, somebody on telly who meets their long-lost fucking brother that they saw last in 1942 during Blitz, and they've not seen him since, and they come and see him and that. Yeah, that's an emotional experience for the people involved. But what the media does is it makes it relevant to you. It makes you feel like it's relevant to you. And then you start crying about it. And it's just nuts.
Well, it looks like Nick's got the right idea. He's just posted in the chat room. Reet powerful, feck Nicky Campbell, whoever he is.
It is. It's just absolutely nuts.
Yep.
Absolutely nuts. And do you know what? It's shoved down his throat. I go to football, right?
Yeah.
I've got a season ticket, Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry, Keno. I know we're losing 2-0 tonight, and I'm glad I didn't go. And I came on this radio show instead. But I know that all that is just to try to, like, you know, evoke my emotions. I'm supposed to get emotionally attached.
Yeah, like Susie says there, we need to hone our intuition and our discernment. And I think that it's something we could all do with working on, really, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Susie's got it down to a T, hasn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, you can bank on Susie. She'll get you where you need to be. And she's also very, you know, very open to cannabis, shall we say.
Well, I'd say a big advocate of it. And, well, aren't we all really at Autonomous Media? I don't know anybody who's got a downer on it, and I think most people are actively supporting the cannabis movement. Because let's face it, it's proper medicine, isn't it? But we've got some great guests lined up in the next few weeks as well. we've got an interesting one next week. We've got a gentleman from Georgia in the USA, Daniel Lewis Crumpton. And he's the creator of downloadedcontact.com, regular guest with Chuck O'Celli, and looking forward to having a talk with Daniel. And then that's the last show in February, and then as we go into March, first show in March, almost a year to the day since we did the last one with him, we've got the return of Chris Spivey. Now, we certainly got more than we bargained for last time with Chris, and it looks like there's something building up, so I'm hoping he'll have something equally head-spinning to talk to us about this time. I see Chris.
Yeah, I think I really do think, and I really do get the vibe that, we're going to be getting a good thing off Chris Spivey.
Yeah.
And Diane Jessie Miller.
Oh, yeah, Diane. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Yeah, then after that, we've got the return of Mike Grant Sinclair, who came on talking about his battle over his mortgage. He's got some new updated information moving forward. That's on the 14th. And then on the 21st, we've got Brian Porter, who does Making a Difference TV. He's got his own station over there in Canada. He's got some fascinating guests he has on his shows, including the Laughing Yogi, which is, this is quite an amusing listening to the Laughing Yogi. And then, just to round out March, probably one of mine and your favourites, we've got Andrew K. Fletcher coming back on the 28th. As for April, we've got one booking at the minute, and that's Stephen Garvey of the National Advancement Party of Canada, and he'll be coming on the 18th of April. So anybody who's got any ideas for guests that they'd like to see us interview, either somebody we've had on before or somebody we haven't had on, please drop us a line, and we'll see what we can do. We're always looking out for different subjects, different guests, and also as well, a bit of an idea. If somebody's got something that's really bothering them, or some information they'd like to put out there, I was wondering if perhaps if you don't want to go on a radio show, and maybe you think 2 hours is a bit daunting, or even an hour, if you'd like to just give me a call on Skype sometime, and what we could do, you could tell me all about your subject, and we can do a recording of that, and then we can kind of chop that down to 15 or 20 minutes and put it out there as a little vox pops. As we know, people's attention span doesn't usually stretch to about 2 hours. 12 or 15 minutes is about the limit for most people, so kind of get a few little shorts in there for people to do that. It's all coming along nicely, and I see these things are all just going to add a little bit to the flavour.
Absolutely, and I'd like to wish my friend Heath, who everybody knows who makes these songs that we play on Raconteurs News from time to time. I'd like him to. I'd like to wish him a happy new bong. He just sent me that message. He sent me this message. He said, "Wish me a happy new bong." So this is not me. It's him. It's him. It's him.
Right. Happy new bong, Heath. Hope you'll be very.
He says it's green and it really works.
Well, never mind about his bong. How's he doing with his organ? Has he got a new organ yet?
No, I think we need to get in fact, I don't even know. He might have got a new organ. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah, what do you think? We might have to do a crowdfunder to get Heath a new organ or something.
I think we should. I mean, he's done some great songs.
He has, yeah, fabulous ones.
That are exclusive to Raconteurs News. So, if we can raise him enough to get himself a new organ, then that would be great.
Any news on the video you were making for the latest one?
Yep, it's in progress.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I'm making a video, I'm writing a book, I'm trying to get his fucking organ back. You know, takes a lot of time. And I'm working as well.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that, you know, they think, oh, yeah, Jason, yeah, 2 hours on the radio. There's a bit more to Jason than that. Yeah, it's like we do 2 hours a week, but the kind of backroom stuff that's involved in that is just virtually non-stop. I can be getting ready to switch my computer off at 4 a.m. and Skype will ring. That's the way my life is at the minute. But we got to the stage, we got a bit of a bug and feeling a bit run down, this kind of flu-y thing that's going about. And we just had a week where we pretty much cut ourselves off and just took stock a little bit, chilled out, sat in our pyjamas watching old episodes of the X-Files and stuff like that. And I think it's done us both good just to take that little bit of a break.
Yeah, you need to do that, dude, from time to time. You really do. You need to do it. You can't be on all the time.
No.
You have to be off. You have to take yourself off as well. You know, you have to say, no, look, this call I probably would take, but I'm not going to take it because I'm off.
That's it. Yeah.
And you have to be disciplined in that way. And that's the way that you know, we've been trying to I've been trying to build a formula for somebody that, like, oh my god, you know, oh, I know all this now, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I've just been trying to build something constructive to say, look, now you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just start here, and then go to here, and then go to here, and then go to here. I know that sounds like, it's like, but it sounds like I'm fucking trying to move them to one area or another, but it's not that. It's just that I'm trying to make it, I want to try to make it easier for people, because it is difficult.
Yeah, well, I think that's a kind of empathetic thing to do, because if you've been down that journey yourself, you kind of know where a few of the blind alleys and wrong turnings are. So if you can keep people from going down those blind alleys and wrong turnings, it makes their journey perhaps a little bit easier than yours was.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good way to help people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fucking hell. You know, when I look at people that are waking up these days,
yeah,
particularly like Aid, he learned in 6 months what I'd learned in 6 years.
That's pretty impressive.
I see it's easier for him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's always going to be that bit easier if you've got somebody to give you a bit of guidance who's kind of found a few of the pitfalls and like, okay, don't want to go down there because it's full of shit. But yeah,
well, this is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it took me 6 years. It took me about 6 years to learn what I taught Ada, and then I'm still learning now. Everyone's always still learning. But it took him about 6 months to learn what I'd learned in 6 years. And so what I realise is it's how it's packaged towards you. You know, I had to go looking for it. Whereas when AD started, it were all there. I could point him towards it. And so I could look at it. And so I think that's evolution. I think that's proper evolution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Proper evolution is that I learned something in 6 years, but because I've learnt it in that 6 years, in 6 months I can transfer it to somebody else. Right? Now, I think if you do that, put that along a line, soon that information's it's not even got a time limit, or it's just ingrained.
Yeah. Oh, a bit like the kind of 100th monkey syndrome, or the blue bottles, not blue bottles, blue tits getting in the top of the milk in the old days when they used to have silver milk bottle tops.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming towards the end of the show, so do stay tuned, folks, because Tina and Tamara are going to be up at 10 o'clock with the happy hour. We've just got another 10 minutes to go, so anything we've not covered that you'd like to cover tonight, Jason?
No, I don't think so.
Well, here's one I've noticed that seems to be cropping up on a few of the headlines again. This jungle camp at Calais. It's been shut down 5 months now. And it appears that closing that down was about as much shooting yourself in the foot as it was when they closed the mental health facilities in this country and started that oxymoron of a policy called care in the community. In reality, what it meant was close all the asylums, kick everybody out, and just let them get on with it. I saw some people wandering the streets that were totally lost. They'd no idea what they were doing, and it was dreadful. And it seems that now this camp's been closed in Calais. People have been dispersed all over the country. There's a lot of them sleeping rough in Paris. But it appears they're now starting to congregate around Calais and Dunkirk, and you're getting the same problems. They've just been moved from one spot of ground to another. So it looks like it was just a gesture that did nothing.
Well, what you get is you get an area like in Calais where they had all these immigrants that have been displaced by Western powers bombing them, right?
Yeah.
Which is true. Can't get away from that. And what they do is they get into these ghettos and these areas and they make them into little parts of where they come from, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is fair enough. It's what people do. What would you do? You know, if you found yourself in somewhere where you didn't know where you were, you'd try and get a group of people that were from where you were, and you'd try to make a little establishment of your area in that area, right?
Yeah.
But what's happening is that that's not being allowed to happen because of the secular society in France. It's not being allowed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, France has got a secular government where religion and power are separated, which I completely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happening is you're getting people in areas, you're moving them from places where they're contained and they're doing what you expect them to do. They're setting up a camp and they're doing that. You get the odd people trying to get a camp. What you do is you go in and you obliterate that. You just shove that problem completely all over everywhere. You scatter it everywhere. There's no way you can control it. And there's no way that you can know where everybody is, because you've scattered it all over. You've made that area illegal for immigrants to live. And so you've scattered them everywhere. Instead of containing them and saying, okay, right, these people need somewhere to live. There's plenty of fucking place in France. France is massive. Have you seen how big France is? There's tons of fucking room.
Yep.
They could get them in there. They could build in minutes. They could build a temporary accommodation so that these people would be comfortable.
Mm.
There's no need for this.
No.
There's no need for it. The only reason for crises amongst immigrants coming into a country is to change the gender of the country.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. There's no reason whatsoever. Just look at France. Look at Britain, for fuck's sake. Have you been on a train or been opened up motorways? How many fucking green fields is there? There's about 96% green fields as opposed to, urban areas.
Yeah, well, if we
tell me we're fucking overcrowded.
Yeah, if we drive from here to our mate Ken's house, it's about 3.5 hours drive, and you're probably passing buildings for maybe 10 minutes of that drive. The rest of it, it's open fields, mountains, forests, you name it.
Exactly. So what they do is they try to get people to dislike each other, because if you don't dislike them, if you don't dislike your neighbours, you're not bothered by your landlord, even though the landlord's fucking you up arse. You're not bothered about him. All you're bothered about is your neighbour, because you don't like them, because they might be Muslim or something or whatever. It's fucking ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, just say, look, I don't care. I really don't care. As long as you're not a cunt, then I won't be a cunt with you. Simple. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
But they have to make it so complicated, so difficult, so official. Oh, official. What the fuck does official mean? It doesn't mean no, does it? It doesn't mean anything at all. Official. I could write official on my Facebook page. This is Jason Holmes' official site. Does that mean no? Does it? Fuck. It doesn't mean no. It doesn't mean anything. Language. It stops people from... language stops people. They see something like official and they see a word and they think, oh, hang on a minute. This might be from somebody who's got some power. But they haven't really got any power. The only power they've got is the language that they're using.
Yeah, absolutely.
And putting official on it. You know what I mean? It's like I got a letter through the other day from a bailiff. I don't know. I haven't paid council tax in years. I'm not paying council tax. Ever. Never. I got one and it said on front of it, it got a stamp on it saying very urgent. And I thought to myself, why are bailiffs, who have obviously got the power to come into your house, because that's what they tell you, why have they got a stamp so they can put it on an envelope saying very urgent? Why do I need telling it's very urgent? Just come and do me if you're able to come into my house and take me stuff. Just come in. You don't have to give me a warning.
Yeah.
But law says you have to give a warning. Oh, so they put very urgent on it. I ain't heard from them since. It's been like over a week.
Brilliant, mate. Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap things up because the girls are waiting in the wings with Freeman Jack on the buttons. So let's hope he presses all the right buttons in the right order tonight. And have a great show, girls. We're going to play out with another track from Gil Scott-Heron. So we'll wish you all good night. Stay tuned for Happy Hour. And we'll be back next Tuesday. Thanks for listening, folks.
Good luck, girls.